So last year, I remember the #1 topic was the U.S. election. This year, not surprising, #1 topic on Facebook, the U.S. election.
So people come to Facebook to share what matters to them. So the top list is always a reflection of those moments. Everything from the election to Black Lives Matter, the Olympics, and the stuff in between, like the Chewbacca mom. Not surprising that the U.S. election was the #1 topic because people took to Facebook to share what they care about.
This is a global list, but the U.S. election was #1. And after the election, Facebook itself found itself in the news because there was a criticism that Facebook played a role in disseminating some of this false information or fake news that was out there. In retrospect, looking back on it, do you feel like that's something that Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg have come to realize was more of a problem than originally thought?
Well, we've been working on this for a long time and we've taken important steps, but there's a lot more to do. We know that people don't want to see hoaxes on Facebook and we don't want to see hoaxes on Facebook. And so we're working on it because misinformation is something we take seriously and something we're going to continue to iterate on the service.
Did it play a bigger role than you expected or thought in retrospect?
Well, there have been claims that it swayed the election, and we don't think it swayed the election, but we take that responsibility really seriously, and we're looking at things like working with third parties, helping to label false news, doing the things we can do to make it clearer what's a hoax on Facebook.
It's complicated because Facebook's philosophy has always been kind of to be a blank canvas, not to be somebody putting its finger on the scale. So is it a difficult thing to wrestle with in terms of finding a solution but keeping this free marketplace of ideas that I know Facebook treasures so much?
Of course, anything at the scale we're operating on is complicated, but there are a lot of things that are going on Facebook you see in this year which show people taking the steps to connect that matters to them. So one of the things that happened this year in the election but didn't happen before was Facebook Live. We didn't have it last time there was a U.S. election, and that meant that people could connect to the video moments like the debates right from their phones anywhere they were. And so that's also part of what's happening with Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter has been happening for years. This was the first year it broke into the top 10 on Facebook. And we think that's partially because the power of live helps people bear witness.
That's why the top 10 list is always kind of interesting because there are some very serious and substantive things that we see on the list. And then we see #3, Pokemon Go. Okay, so it was huge on Facebook this year.
Absolutely. Anyone with a kid, it was certainly hard to get my son to pay attention to me while we were driving in cars since Pokemon Go. And there were 7,000 groups on Facebook. Our #1 Facebook Live this year was the Chewbacca mom. That video was viewed 160 million times. And for any of us who watched it, or watched it many times, as I did, the laughing was infectious.
Yeah.
And there was something about the power of video, watching her laugh, that really brought people in.
And then, of course, there's the Olympics. Clearly a true global event, a big item on the list. I think it was #6 this year. And you do see the whole world rooting for the home team.
That's right, and people coming together around sports and around the competition. We also had great personal moments, like Michael Phelps announced his retirement on Facebook during the Olympics, helping people connect to what he was doing, much as athletes did all over the world.
And number 9 and 10 on the list to me really speak to Facebook's role as kind of a meeting place and a community, a place where our culture gets together. Obviously, the passing of David Bowie and Muhammad Ali rounding out the top 10, and really a place for people to share their mourning and their remembrances.
Absolutely, and we see that over and over again. We see people connecting with the big moments, connecting with the small moments, and sharing the things that matter to them.
Sheryl Sandberg, it's always fun to look back through the eyes of Facebook. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year.
And by the way, for the full list of Facebook's most talked about topics, just head to today.com.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.